Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you want to feel as though all your work has amounted to something, right? That you know, all this time that they have put in, all the hours that they have been grinding, all the practice that they have done, that it has amounted to some level of improvement, that you can at least show what you have been working on throughout the split, because it has not felt that way so far for Dig. And actually, I feel like it feels like there has been more of a regression from Dig throughout the year from lock-in to now. Because I think even at least in lock-in, there was a lot of hype around Photon and how he was playing individually. And it just feels like the team has not really been able to bring it together, except in some specific individual games. You know, it's interesting because when they played against the best couple teams, they have been able to get a game against each of our top 3 teams, and then they immediately turn back into a pumpkin and get blasted in the next game. So it's kind of funny because it's not even like these fluky games, it's dominant games, but it is going to be Lucian Melio. I feel like that is a bit of a shocker when Ashe Seraphine is up. When answers like Caitlyn are up and available, like they don't even have to go Ashe Seraphine. You could just go for like a bully CC lane, like Caitlyn Nico or something along those lines.
I mean, the first wave of bans, the Karma was off the table, so Karma Ezreal's gone. The Bard off the table, so like Bard Caitlyn, Nautilus, Averis. But yeah, like this Ashe Seraphine's the big elephant in the room. I'm surprised that they avoided. So it's going to be Caitlyn for Sentinels, and probably Anivia. Actually, that Anivia could really go in 3 different positions.
I think it's going to be
now.
support. I think that's actually what they're playing. I think they are going to do support Anivia with the Caitlyn. Of course, it is a flex, but it is a pretty strong 2v2 laner, and I think that is what they're going to be looking for.
Sets up the traps, you got a stun.
Yeah, exactly. The Lucian Melio blind is interesting to me. It feels like they were expecting the Ashe Seraphine as the response, and obviously Melio is great at dealing with the CC that comes out from that. You have the Breath of Life, and a lot of Melio players into those heavy CC comps are just rushing Mikhails as well. So you can have an AD carry that has like Cleanse, a Mikhails, and a Breath of Life available, and it's like, good luck CCing me, buddy. But it is, of course, going to be the Caitlyn instead, and you can struggle with range in these kind of matchups. So, of course, you know, we don't know for sure where the Anivia is going, but I do think it is going to be Anivia support.
And also on the kind of talk of how Dignitas have been getting some of their wins. Yes, Photon occasionally will have games like that Shen game last week, but also it's typically FBI and Ignar that are kind of getting them those wins when they do pick up the few game wins. And so I think, you know, blind picking for them, yes, it's something strong, but the double-edged sword there is that now you can get counterpicked and outranged.
I mean, I would also say that it feels like to me when we are seeing these big performances from Ignar, people think more about as engaged champs, right? And it's kind of interesting because I interviewed him earlier in the season, and I was asking him about, you know, engaged champs, and he was saying, I'm more comfortable on them, and I think they're coming back into the meta. So like he thinks he was going to be playing them more, but since then I feel like he's played only enchanters. So
I thought the story was going to go the opposite way. If he's like, no, I'm getting comfortable on the enchanters. I'm happy on the enchanters.
I mean, I think he's happy playing whatever, but I do feel like he looks different when he's playing Alistar and
the team looks different.
Exactly.
Yeah. So catch up on the Banzo. Rumble, Cassiopeia taken off, Gwen and Akali. A lot of AP solo laners as we haven't seen a confirmed solo laner locked in. Again, that Anivia very flexible on Sentinel's side.
Yep.
So Dignitas going to have to blind pick first.
Ryze, though, quite strong here in the meta, and should be going mid. Of course, we did see that one game from Castle playing it into the Rumble, kind of that ranged, you know, counter pick, quote unquote, even though it just ended up farming even, but are expecting that to be going mid. With Lux coming through now, we know it is going to be Anivia in his solo lane, so it is going to be Caitlyn Lux, so they kind of just maintained the ability to swap things up. And I am assuming that it is going to be Caitlyn Lux down in the bot lane. You don't really see Lux solo lane almost at all. Unless someone really wants to cook. Of course, it is possible that they
maybe the
really
Ryze,
trick us out.
If you were going to play it, but probably not.
I feel like you just will end up under your tower the whole time with Ryze having the push, but it would be cool to see if they really want to mix it up. But pretty standard stuff, I feel like, from Sentinels. Really good zone control. You have, obviously, the Anivia wall, the Anivia ult. You have Caitlyn traps. You have, you know, Lux binding. You have so many tools to make entering into a fight very, very difficult. The Shen for Photon, I think Shen is a great pick into the Sion. I do like Shen into a lot of tank matchups. I think it is pretty advantageous. I will say there's not the best delivery system for the Shen. It's really just the Xin Zhao who can kind of run in with that Shen ult. Of course, later on, you know, you can have Ryze split pushing and the Shen kind of jumps in with his Stand United to try to assist. But I feel like Shen, as someone who plays it a lot, is most effective when you have really good hard engage and you are the one doing it proactively Shen ulting rather than reactively Shen ulting defensively, because a lot of times when you defensively ult, either your teammate dies before you arrive or the other team just backs off and you're 3-minute cooldown is just wasted.
Yeah, at the very least, you have the option for both if you have that primary engage tool. Xin Zhao, not exactly that, but he did have a fantastic Shen game last week. I want to remind everybody of that. He ended the game 6-6 and 8, but there was a time in the game where he was assassinating a J4 at the Baron
like
pit.
4K
he got a double
something.
Yeah, he was like smashing that lane.
And then, unfortunately, the late game arrived, and Tank's damage stops kind of mattering.
Yeah,
and that is the problem.
The 2-item power spike, the Titanic Hydra plus the Dusk and Dawn, but then everything else is just tank items from then on out. So, but maybe he's able to pull off another carry performance in the early game and get Dignitas.
The funny thing about that game is, though, they were up he was up like 4 or 5K, and they lost that game.
They lost that game,
yeah. So
100%.
You know, you can put yourself into a great spot.
Seeds for the potential carry, you know?
He could get fed again
also,
and still lose.
I was wondering, what Anivia skin has the darkest wings? I think that one's up there. Very dark blue wings.
The darkest
for
wings.
Dark wings. Yep, because he's got a wing champ.
That's fair.
It's got to be canonical there.
I would just think of Darkwing Duck.
What's Darkwing Duck?
It's like a comic thing.
Is this like a Not My Generation type of
Might
moment?
be. I'm not sure.
I feel like that's what we're experiencing.
I'm not really
right
like a Darkwing Duck watcher or reader, but
No,
but I do think of it.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's from like
to
Looney
time.
Tunes or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's some sort of comic.
All right, producers.
But
if
I don't
we
know
can
if
get
that's
some kind of Darkwing
where
Duck
he got it
graphic.
from or what.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Azael, you had posed a question, so why
Yeah.
don't we talk about it here?
Okay, so the question is, what team am I? 6-0 in the LCS, 1.5, just first in all stats, basically,
Yeah.
right? Absolutely dominating. Well, the answer is every LCS team against Dignitas this split. So if you take the aggregate of stats against Dignitas, you are the best team in the LCS.
Yeah.
And Sentinels gets their turn to be the best team in the LCS.
Yeah, if at any given moment you needed fantasy points, I think a good strategy was draft whoever's playing against Dignitas, because you're going to be getting pretty high stats according to our records here. Let's see if Sentinels can keep that record going, but that's not the type of stats that you want to have as a team in a league, and unfortunately that is the reality that Dig has been facing this season so far.
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, they've been getting smacked, right? And Rahel here, obviously, going to be able to stay safe. They do spot the Xin Zhao, and Huhi will be able to stop XU's recall. And the question is, will he get punished for this at all? Because he went for a 3-camp gank bot. They have a ward on his blue buff that just expired on top side, and Hambach has just been clearing. So XU's going to go back to base. Hambach will be done 6 camps by the time XU is still on 3 probably here. And that is going to be a little bit tough. I am also just worried for Xin Zhao and Shen later on against all of the zone control that I was talking about, because if you taunt in and you just get walled away or bound or whatever, it's like you don't really have any recourse after that, right? Like, it is very difficult to play some of these binary melee champions into champions like Lux and Caitlyn and Anivia and Sion is really tough to get through onto that backline sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to play the late game, and that early game felt to me like maybe part of the game plan, because hearing Dig, it sounded like they've had a tough time getting everybody on the same page, finding how they want to play the game. And when you look at the fact it was Lucian, Melio, first 2 picks, and then XU going for this 3-camp into an attempted early look bot side, maybe the game plan for them really is just play around FBI. It feels like that was the hint here we got in this early game, is just try and get FBI pressure, allow him to get that first pick, something that he's comfortable on to allow FBI Ignore to carry the game. As Photon goes in for a taunt there, and we'll just walk away.
Yep, and that is kind of the interaction that you are looking for. Impact has been winning this 1v1, but generally you can go with a Shadow Dash. You can cancel that charged up Q from the Scion, and then, of course, you have percentage HP damage with your Q, plus the extra attack speed. When you get that pull through, it is quite powerful. But something that we have noticed is a change in Impact's champ pool these last week or two. Weeks 1 to 5, he'd been playing all kinds of stuff. He was also the most fearless in Split 1, but they weren't doing that well. And it was really kind of, there was a conspicuous absence of Ornn, of Cassante.
He's leaning forward.
He is.
And mid lane, Dark Wings popped into the Anivia
He's okay.
passive. He's fine.
But he had not played a single game of Cassante, Sion, or Ornn. All champions that are super related to him.
Now Palbox might not be okay. He used the Ghost and the Flash just to get the passive on Dark Wings, and that's first blood picked up by Hambach.
Nice collapse there from Huhi and Hambach. So last week he played the Cassante and the Ornn. Now he's playing the Sion. So that is now 3 straight games. As soon as playoff time comes around, either Impact's locking in or Coach is cracking the whip saying, you know what, buddy, you had your fun. It's time to win some video games.
No, my headcanon is that graphic. He just leaned forward in his chair and is now playing the tanks here.
One man can only play so many Scion games, so he has to save them for when it counts, you know?
Exactly, yeah. Have fun in the early season when playoffs don't matter, and then playoffs time.
You know what? Winning's fun, too.
See, that's where we differ. I don't do a lot of that in my game, so I try and have fun in other ways. Zales, Huhi taking a big chunk down in the bot lane. The root lands, though. Trap as well from Rahel, but that will be heal from Huhi. Now Flash from Photon over the decimating smash. Body blocks the ultimate, and Impact might just be able to walk away regardless. Has his Flash available as well, and will use it. So Photon will just trade summoner spells at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think Impact played that pretty well. I feel like he could have just walked it out, but he got nervous about when the taunt cooldown was going to come back up. I think he had gotten close enough to the tower that if Photon taunts him, Photon gets tower aggro and probably just dies. But, you know, nice aggressive move there from Photon. The reality is, though, Impact is still up, you know, over 10 CS. XU did get down to cover their bot lane again, because otherwise I think FBI would have had to probably use barrier. Maybe would have had a heal come out. I don't think it would have resulted in a kill, but pre-6, you know, it's very dangerous for this Lucian. If you get hit by a binding, the trap will be there to follow. Of course, post-6, Melio will be there to try to back you up. And FBI just looking for some trades here. Huhi clearly wants to get back to base to reset, but had to stay around as he was getting a little bit nervous there for Rahel.
Yeah, Huhi doesn't have a lot of mana, but will now get the reset off as the Dragon was taken. Hambach didn't need his bot lane prio or his bot lane there to help him out. There was the 2v2 skirmish happening, so he's happy to just pick up the objective. It does buy some time for XU to get some camps, as he's now catching back up in the farm department, but if you're Sentinels, you're happy to pick up that early Ocean Drake in the laning phase, one of the most efficient dragons to have early. Yeah,
it's the best one for sure, I feel like. You know, when you get that early Ocean, especially in some of these kind of pokey matchups, it is very, very beneficial. And you are getting missing 2% of your missing health every 5 seconds is what the regen is. So, like, when I'm playing Shen, you know, in a tank versus tank matchup, I feel like that is really annoying because that is such a high amount of regen for something like a Scion that's already really, really durable. But something I want to talk about is the reality is when you are at the end of a split that has been going this way for Dignitas, it is a real struggle. And you are playing for your jobs, right? You are trying to showcase your skill, to show Dignitas, hey, I'm a player that you want to keep around, because the expectation is some changes will be made. So my question for chat is, who should Dignitas build around? What player should they be, you know, staking their kind of season on for next split? Who do you think is the most promising talent? Who do you think is their best carry that they should look to try to actually rebuild this roster around? Because clearly this iteration has just not worked. Yeah, either best or who you think has the brightest future potential to build around. I think either way you frame it, it's an interesting question to ask, because teams often find themselves in spots like this. You've had a very slow start to the year, and you have one more split ahead of you. So if changes happen, who do you want to keep on the roster? I mean, there's no guarantee that they will make changes, because you have to be able to find players that you think are going to be an upgrade. But let's be honest, no one is going to think, including at Dignitas, that you are qualifying for Worlds as the year is going, right? And that is every team's goal, is to get towards Worlds. That is the ultimate goal. And here is the chat vote. So heavily favoring FBI. I actually really agree with that. FBI would probably be my big one too. I feel like FBI still has shown that he can carry games, you know, has that ability to take over. And, you know, with a stronger supporting cast, this could be a much stronger team. I feel like he got over half the votes as well. I think that unanimously the community agrees with that, and I have to concur as well. When you look at the games that they win, everyone's stepping up, but FBI consistently, even in the games they're losing, has been the one that looks like he's staying in the game. Photon also, though, getting some nods. Happy about that. As well. Yeah, I mean, I think Photon, especially in lock-in, was a real carry threat. He has had some good games throughout the regular season, but I feel like has not been as dominant as what we saw from him in lock-in, where it was feeling like, oh man, this guy's laning phase is really scary. And, ooh, nice binding there as FBI will be fine. Melio shields and heals are just too much right now for them to get through. And that was barrier out from FBI as well, so you know he does pop the barrier. Ignar was not yet 6, so Final Spark just kind of thrown out basically as a little bit of poke. The Lux ult is such a short cooldown that you will see players usually just let it rip as soon as they do hit some sort of CC, just kind of using that for poke. And it's not going to be any sort of like full AP, you know, Luden's solo queue style Lux. He has a Bandle Glass Mirror, so he is going to be going supportive items here. We'll be interested to see what his support item upgrade is. Sometimes people will go for more aggressive support item upgrades.
I'm thinking like Shirelia's maybe? Do you want to get the move speed there?
Yeah, it could be Shirelia's. Shirelia's is pretty popular on a lot of these champions. You can do things like, I mean, there's a lot of options. We'll just have to see, but...
Either way, we know that it's not going to be that one-shot burst style of Lux. It's going to be the setup style of Lux. You get more shields, or at least stronger shields, and you also are able to land those light bindings to set up the traps for Caitlyn, and it's up to Rahel to do the chunk of the damage. That being said, Huhi is actually more ahead in gold than Rahel currently, as FBI's just been doing a fine job of CSing here, but slower early game start. Sentinels now set up for the next dragon in a minute's time. They had gotten the grubs, or at least 2 of the grubs as well, while we were talking about the poll. So the early game objectives, plus that first blood gold for Sentinels, puts them in a good spot to just continue the dragon stacking.
Yep, looking like they're in a great spot for that. And I mean, especially if Sentinels gets there first, it's so impossible to walk in against this team comp. It is very, very difficult. And given that it is pro and it's not, you know, an AP style build from Huhi, I think we probably are just going to see Celestial opposition. You know, that is kind of the standard as Palafox.
Oh, that's the flash over the wall. Yeah, Darkwings really making Palafox work for it in this mid lane right now.
Man, Hombok's coming down here. Huhi has delayed XU's base a bunch of times in a row. They were trying to keep them around and see if there's some sort of angle for a dive, but there's no way you can dive 3v3 with Shen ult available on the other side. Yeah, Shen ult would get interrupted by the Scion, presumably, but even just the shield, there's just no shot. They're way too healthy.
Yeah, and I understand the idea with Hombok having that power spike Sundered Sky, but wise to back off and instead just keep stacking these dragons. Even if XU's back completes, you know that you have a window here to actually punish Ignar. Pops the Breath of Life as flashes away. FBI Culling will not get a lot of damage done onto Hombok, and Dignitas' bot lane will at least spot the Sentinels had a Death Brush, and it buys time for XU to get here.
Yep, buys time for XU to come back, and it does stop them from continuing on that dragon. So they kept XU around for a long time. They delayed his base, but not able to claim the dragon just yet. But you do get the flash as well as the Breath of Life off of Ignar, and that is pretty big. Photon going to be rushing in towards Titanic. Very, very standard stuff. It'll be interesting to see if he does go for Dusk and Dawn or just kind of tank after that. But Shen's wave clear is just pitiful, right? Yeah. So you need to go some sort of wave clear item, and almost always people do prefer the Titanic Hydra. Lets you get those waves moving in the right direction very quickly. And if you want to be a split push threat, then that's kind of what you need. And I love this, man. You use Ace in the Hole, Final Spark, all these tools.
FBI,
just constantly delay it.
You got to back a little safer position there, buddy. Hui's just being a little mosquito right now. He's just stinging. He's not killing anybody, but he's being annoying. As he's pushing back FBI, he stopped XU's backs earlier. Now Hombok is here. Now they might look for the dive. It is spotted, and XU's right over the wall at the red buff, so Hombok will just clear out this control ward, presumably back away as XU now shows up a level down, but got the backup. Hombok just throws out the smite, and we'll take the big Krug and walk away.
Yeah, Darkwings is coming down to cover as well. I actually like that they are not over-forcing on a dive and instead just keep delaying the base, delay the base, take down the tower. Rahel, unfortunately, 1 CS off of the call proc, but they do already knock down the first tower here pre-13 minutes. That is a lot of gold for them. He's got to have Hex Optics. Yep, there's the Hex Optics on base.
There's the Shirelias too, so first items for both AD carry and support. As Darkwing's now the focus in the mid lane, throws out the stun, flashes the wall, but a follow from XU. Not going to land the knock-up, so Darkwings is fine.
Yeah, that's frustrating there for XU, but that is kind of what you're dealing with as Impact. Maybe going to find an angle.
Throws out the unstoppable onslaught. Flash from Photon as Rahel is here with the autos. Knock-up lands. Photon trying to get back to safety. Walking into the Lux ultimate. Is able to dodge out that one. Huhi, can he get the kill credit? Photon shadow dashes away. Light binding lands. Ace in the hole for the kill credit. Rahel picks it up.
Nice play there from Sentinels, and Photon just gets punished, going a little bit aggressive when the bot was rotating up towards that top side. Almost got out, but Photon does end up going down at the end of the day, and you get to give it to Rahel, who is now 1.5k ahead off of that early tower take. All the plates plus the first tower gold. They're 4.5k ahead at 14 minutes. This is just not close at all.
Absolutely filthy start for Sentinel's bot lane, especially when you consider the fact that FBI and Ignar, they got first picks for themselves. They wanted this Lucian Melio.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true, but it's not just the bot lane. I mean, look at the gold. It's everything. Everyone is getting slammed.
Another culling used here from FBI, trying to take matters into his own hands with Ignar in his back pocket, pushes Rahel and Huhi back, but just doesn't have the damage to get that kill. Also on that one-item power spike. at least is able to win out somewhat in the 2v2 trades. That's a sign of life for FBI, but everything's landing Sentinels' favor right now. 4.5K gold lead overall at 14 minutes. That's a pretty big lead for this time in the game.
I mean, that is a ridiculous lead. That is, I mean, if you're a Dignitas fan, you probably don't want to look at what the average win rates are from these kind of positions, because I would think it's into the 95s, maybe even higher than that. Like, it is rare that you lose these kind of games, and honestly, I think that their comp is better in the late game as well. So I am pretty concerned about this for Dignitas here. You know, there are going to be opportunities, but when you're already this far down, you've got to make a play, and that play has to go great, or you are cooked, because you only usually get 1 or 2 chances when you're already this far behind.
Rahel could be focused now in the mid lane. Hambach will spot out XU as Ignar will walk up to try and back up his jungler. There's the Shen ultimate coming in, and it's not going to land. Hambach just flashes the wall. That was Dig's look. Not finding anything for it, as Sentinels will just walk back up, keep hitting this turret.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about. When you don't have a really powerful hard engage tool to ult on, people just kind of run away, right? They see that coming through, and yeah, you got his flash. Like, that is still a trade up, but Stand United with no CDR is a 3-minute cooldown. Like, that is brutal, right? The next time you're going to be even looking for a play is around 20 minutes. And so that is really, really the difficult thing about Shen, and why, you know, I particularly prefer playing Shen with champions like Nocturne or Alistar or Nautilus, like someone who's going to be able to go in and make sure that they are still there as you are arriving.
Slow bleed here as Sentinels just creep further and further ahead. I actually would love if Stats could take a look at Rahel and how many turret plates he's got, because I must have been all 5 bot. I know he got at least 1 top and I think 3 mid. So Rahel might have just gotten 2 full turrets worth of plates, essentially.
He's rich, but remember, tickets are available for Spring Finals at ASU's Mullet Arena. It's going to be June 13th and 14th. 2-day passes and 1-day passes are both on sale now. Scan the QR code, get your tickets. We'll see you there, and who knows, maybe one of these teams will see you there too. Well, Dignitas might be in the crowd.
Yeah,
maybe you'll be sitting beside Dignitas.
Maybe, you could say hi.
And Sentinels might be playing. It's
maybe
possible.
They'll have mullets too. I still think that we should put a bounty on any player. And like by that I mean like a positive bounty. Like they earn the bounty if they
You'll
have
shoot
a
them
mullet.
dead if they don't have a mullet on site.
No. Well, I mean,
in-game.
Maybe that's in-game.
Yeah.
That could be extra motivation. But no, any player that has a mullet gets to start with like 200 extra gold in-game or something like that, you know?
I think that's fair.
I feel like that should be allowed.
That's fair. Reasonable.
I like that. XU goes in with the Audacious Charge onto Rahel, just trapped up. Has the Crescent Guard available. He's holding it for a very long time, but now walled off. Cataclysm from Hambach. As XU still rooted in place, goes back onto Rahel and taken out of there. That's another kill to the 80 carry as the kills continue. FBI hit by Dark Wings and Impact, and Sentinels just pick up 2 in the mid lane.
You did say it was a slow bleed, but I feel like they're missing some limbs at this point now. They're bleeding uncontrollably.
It's but a flesh wound, Azale.
No.
No?
No, there's internal damage there as well.
Internal bruising.
Yeah.
A couple of broken ribs
They don't
at this point.
They don't have long. No, it's worse than that.
They don't have long.
They don't have long.
Somebody check
it's
the
time
life
to say your
support
goodbyes,
system.
you know? Any final words, you know? You got to get them in.
Yeah, I feel like I'm usually a positive guy when it comes to in-game chances.
And I'm positive that Dignitas are losing this game.
You're positive of that.
Yes.
18 minutes and a 7.5K gold lead plus Dragon Soul point.
Yeah. And you saw how much fun XU was having with his champion against theirs in mid lane.
Yeah.
Where he for sure got to control his character.
He did.
He did.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say it this, because anytime there's a game like this, you now have little mini games. Because if we're being honest, Dignitas are out of this one. So can they prevent themselves from being perfect games? Because does the 1 grub count actually?
I think anything on the scoreboard counts. So for my definition, they already have prevented that. I think they'll get a kill. I mean, there's some squishy members on the other side. I feel like they'll just full send it randomly and Hugi will die or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on your definition. It's pretty tough to perfect game if you do count getting 1 of the grubs.
Yeah.
And I tend to think that anything that shows on the scoreboard counts against the perfect game. So I would argue a plate does not make a game imperfect because that doesn't show on the scoreboard.
Also, our SAS guy Leo has confirmed that it does prevent the perfect game, and Leo is kind of the end-all be-all voice on the broadcast.
That's what he likes to think.
Oh, you're not convinced of that?
Nope. We can just say whatever we want, right?
I still feel like, personally,
we could ruin Leo's credibility very quickly.
Yeah?
Yeah, we could
Do you have
just
some
say
insider information
getting
on
some
him?
stats here from Leo.
Oh,
and then
you're
you just say whatever you want.
guy.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. I never thought about that. Wow.
He has no control over what we say.
Leo just said he hates bald guys.
We could attribute anything to Leo.
Yeah. Like
Leo is saying, statistically speaking, Darkwing's better than Faker.
Yeah,
which I personally wouldn't agree with.
The stats on the screen, quoted by Leo the Stats Guy.
That was Leo the Stats Guy making that argument.
I can say
it's a bold one to make.
It's our word against his.
Yeah.
Two versus one.
2 versus 1.
And I guess the.
Are you sure we should just fight through side, or do you guys just win on mid? Because I don't think we win on mid. Yeah, I know, but the thing is, it's like I think we're just attacking the wrong area.
Okay, let's go hunt Anivia then. Let's try.
Yeah,
Anivia. We're
going
bird
positive. Saying, you know, do you win mid? Well, not really. You guys can play on side. So like, all right, let's try to kill Anivia.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to try to stay focused in a game like this. You know, to have any chance of a comeback. They're not delusional. They know it is going to be incredibly unlikely, but it is a professional game. You got to do your best to win, and if that is that 1%er where you keep getting picks on the side over and over, then that's what you're going to go for. But unfortunately, if you do lose a 20-minute Baron to a team that is already 7.5K ahead and on soul points, it's going to be tough.
Also, rule number 1, if you're being hunted, pack together strong. Darkwings with a team as Colleen will get a big chunk of damage onto him, but the Cataclysm onto FBI, actually trying to keep him alive. Buy some space for the AD carry. As now the trap lands onto XU, the Crescent Guard has expired. Dignitas just don't have the ultimates to walk up. They almost got Darkwings into the passive, but not quite enough. They at least stopped the Baron.
Yeah, they do stop the Baron, which is good. But they spend their Stand United, the Crescent Guard, they spend a lot of tools there to
We're sending Photon in there. Just solo mission. Oh, the light binding lands onto 2 as the flash taunt. XU at the flank onto Huhi. Dignitas find a play and get their first kill of the game.
What did I tell you? Luck support is always good for one.
Always
for the
good
other
for
team.
one. Yep.
Yeah, at least. You know, when you're getting owned, you love seeing like a Lux or a Zyra or something. You're like, I can kill that guy.
If we all flash on that one,
we can get that guy for sure. So they do get their one. So whether you're a Grub believer or not, you know, not a perfect game.
Not a perfect game.
There's a kill on the board.
Actually, Leo the Stats Guy said that one kill nullifies the one Grub. So we're back to perfect game.
But they have the Grub. Why would they be nullifying their own
man.
Grub?
Leo just says stuff.
Leo, what are you doing?
He's on one right now.
I can't believe that's our Stats Guy. That's crazy.
Yeah. With that in mind, everybody, there's actually a job opening. No, Leo, we love you. I'm sorry. I feel bad ragging on Leo. I still feel like he's by far the most valuable person that we can have, just for the amount of stats he gets us on a weekly basis. It's
I'd say, for me,
shout out Leo.
He's top 10 in my LCS stats people currently. It is a one-person team.
Currently.
It is a one-person team.
It's a one-person team.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's top 10. Maybe top 7 in Leo's that
Lonely
do
at
stats
the top,
that I
you
know.
Give him a couple friends up there. Yeah. 25 seconds till the next Dragon. This is the Soul. So Sentinels have been playing a clean game so far, and now it looks like they're going to pick Palafox in the side lane. He flashes away, dodges the flag and drag, but the Cataclysm will land true, and that is a pick for Sentinels.
Oh, that's not fair. Palafox said he wanted to hunt the Anivia. The Anivia's not allowed to hunt him.
Yeah, when the hunter becomes the hunted. We got like a Predator situation going on here.
Okay.
I've never seen Predator, actually. I don't know if that is the plot.
The Predator only goes for, you know, honorable prey, right? They don't. Predator doesn't hunt weaklings.
So Palafox is honorable.
There you go.
That's what we learned.
Yeah.
I think that's a plot. Am I close? I don't know.
We'll count it.
I feel like I'm disappointing Captain Flowers right now because he's like the 80s movie guy, and every time I mention a movie I haven't seen, he gets really sad. So, sorry. Sorry, Clayton. Either way, Dragon Soul picked up for Sentinels as a 7,000 gold lead game just continues.
Not even going to contest it.
Nope.
All right. Yeah, we're definitely going next fast on this one. This is tough. I mean, they talked about it in the lounge, and honestly, a lot of the time, when you do get a team that has had a horrible season, they're eliminated from playoffs, they kind of play a lot more relaxed once they are already eliminated. Yeah. And oftentimes you do actually see upsets. You see them come out and finally they're not nervous. They're like, well, we got nothing to lose. And they go out there and they give it their all. This is kind of the opposite of that. This is like the most stomped they have gotten so far. We'll see if they can bounce back, but this one's tough. I mean, it feels like the only kind of very small little glimmers of light has been FBI getting some pressure here and there. But
XU walled off from the rest of the team. Has to jump in with the Crescent Guard. He's solo versus 5 right now. Photon does come in with Sand United, but XU has to flash away from the Cataclysm. Does survive for now, as Breath of Life will keep everybody topped off, healthy enough to continue the escape. And Dignitas do get out of there, but that's a lot of defensive tools used by Dignitas, so Sentinels can just walk straight to the Baron.
Yeah, pretty much everyone popped all their ults there. Darkwings is going to be spotted on this ward, so they will be aware that this is happening. You got to go try to defend it. Maybe you get some random kills. If you take them out, if you steal the Baron, hey, yeah, at least you got a shot.
Yeah, Baron might be the true carry of Dignitas as it's shredding Sentinels right now, getting some extra damage in there as Hambach does secure the objective. Photon got in there, but Hambach is able to hold his ground, and Sentinels picks up the kill there.
Yeah, XU couldn't even get over.
Oh, flash to follow up onto XU as Rahel will go on a killing spree. Teleport into the mid lane as it looks like it's gonna be a slaughter. Double kill to Rahel. FBI flashes the flag and drag as Hui looks for the binding onto Ignar. And FBI just has no chance. Sentinels completely suffocated Dignitas in this game 1.
That is just domination here in the first game. 9-1, 10K up, 25 minutes in. You got Soul Baron, and you're going for the Nexus here. That is about as stomped as you can get.
On the bright side, Sentinels looking like the best team in the LCS right now, Azale. If we're just looking pure stats, as they'll take down these 2 Nexus turrets. Sentinels making very quick work of Dignitas in game number 1. They're hopeful for that top 4 playoff position as they will take game 1.
Those top 3 meta tanks is kind of like what you expect from Impact. And he has now played all 3, at least 1 game. So it'll be interesting to see if they just kind of continue with that route. Just play Impact on tanks, play towards Rahel, who is a really well-respected AD carry. He's someone that a lot of people will point to as one of the best in the league.
Yep.
And Varus is up and available, so very likely going to be going to Rahel. Of course, it could be going to Impact. We did actually see him play it once, and they did win, though he died a ton in the early game.
True.
Was kind of chain ganked in that one.
I'm just wondering if, Impact, if you get so many tank games in a row, is he allowed to play a non-tank now? Or do you want them to hone the style, or do you think he should go Varus top?
If it's my answer, I think Impact should only play tanks. Impact, I think, is just so good on tanks. It's not that he can't play other stuff. I mean, he was our most fearless player in Lock-In, which is actually pretty surprising, I think. At least to me, was not kind of what I expected. But I do think he is so good on tanks, and I think you have some pretty strong carries. Darkwings, I think, surprised a lot of people with how well he has been performing here in the LCS. And Rahel, I mean, I mentioned obviously he's really well respected, but Berserker, when he did his Player of the Week interview, he mentioned Rahel is one of the top 3 AD carries in the league. So, does have a lot of respect. And I think when he is playing, from a good spot, he looks really, really strong.
Yeah. And I think that bot lane is also going to be a focus here for Sentinels again. They get Varus, and part of me was like, we were surprised to not see the Ashe Seraphine focus from Dignitas last game. But now the more that I think about it and how they win games, FBI on Ashe is less carry threats than like the Lucian or the Varus or like Caitlyn, these other more, high threat picks. You can look for the ults and you can still do damage, but like it's not the flashy.
You don't have the individual agency.
Exactly, yeah. So Sentinels, they're not afraid of the Ashe Seraphine. With Seraphine locked in, I'm expecting Ashe for FBI coming up next, but Sentinels will have Varus Bard as their bot lane to counter with a Skarner locked in for Hambach.
Yeah, this is really becoming Hambach's signature pick. He is 4-0 on it, nearly a 10 KDA as well. I think it is by far his best champ that we have been seeing lately in the LCS.
Rob Moore's favorite Sentinels games.
Favorite Sentinels games. I mean, it was funny because Rob Moore gave that interview and then, mentioned his Skarner. Then he played it that day, owned on it, and now he has won 4 games in a row on it, has pretty much owned every time he has brought it out. So that is definitely scary for Dignitas because he has yet to lose on that Skarner pick. And there's a lot of good setup for the Skarner already as well. With the Tempered Fate, the Chains of Corruption, you are looking at an Ashe Seraphine who are very low mobility. Yep. Of course, it's not easy for a Skarner to just run straight in. You Ishtal's Impact through a wall and you can just get Crystal Arrowed, you can get rooted, you are kind of running straight at them. But that being said, Flash Impale, Flash Ishtal's Impact into the wall, into an Impale, those types of plays are definitely possible. And it's easy to set it up with the Bard because they are champs without dashes.
Yep, and even diving bot lane, they have a lot of tools to do that. Skarner's just got a big health bar. If you're level 6, Bard can also ult the turret. We'll see how safe this Ashe Seraphine is in lane. typically I see Ashe Seraphine get the push in lane, but if they don't and they're under their own turret, it could be very scary. As the next bans come through, Victor and Cassiopeia, plus the Jace on Sentinel's side. Let's see what their final ban is, as currently Dignitas looking like they want to give Palafox a much safer mid lane matchup, as that's 3 total mid lane bans against him.
Very interesting. So thinking about the possibility of the Olaf coming in top, because of course XU is already going to be playing Nefiri. So I'm kind of curious, you know, as to what the thought process is there. You know, maybe they even think that Nefiri could be role swapped somewhere else and then playing Olaf. We did see Contract have an incredible Olaf game. Yep. And, you know, this is obviously a comp that Sentinels is drafting that is very reliant upon CC. So if you're going to be playing something in top lane that is kind of counterpicked by that or counterpickable by that, then it makes sense maybe to take that away.
Palafox on the classic Annie setup, though. A lot of setup between Annie, Ashe, Seraphine, all these champions. Not going to be doing a ton of DPS, but they have a lot of CC and a lot of ability to start team fights or keep team fights going. So that means Nefiri is going to be kind of the tip of the spear, but what else can they put alongside the dog, as it's going to be Renekton locked in for impact in the top lane. That is not a tank.
It is not a tank.
Tanky-ish.
It is a bruiser, you know, so
it's beefy.
It's one of the most common picks in Pro, obviously, for many, 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 many years. You know, I do think about Gnar as a pretty standard safe pick for impact as well, but because Photon has shown that he will play Kennen, you know, when you think back to last split and even Ignite Kennen, maybe he's worried about those kind of counter picks and just sees Renekton as kind of just more generically safe and strong. Darkwing is going to be going with another of his classic picks, the Hui. I think he is very good on it. It is one of these picks that I think just slots in well as a control mage, but not every control mage player is comfortable playing Hui. But for Darkwings, obviously, is one that is very good for him. And now you're just looking for the answering pick here for Photon. Is it going to be compositional, or is it going to be about the lane? And if that Ornn gets locked in, which it does, it is just really about the comp. So he's going to be playing, you know, less for the 1v1, though I do think Ornn can do fine into the Renekton, and much more just enabling all of this hard engage. You have Ashe Arrow, you have Encore, you have Call of the Forge God, you have Flash Tivers, you have so many tools to throw in on what is a comp that has some squishy members and very low mobility as well. You know, I mentioned that for the Ashe Seraphine, but Varus, but Hui, Bard are all champions that, if hit by some of these CC, could easily be 100 to 0'd by the Dignitas comp. So both comps, I think, are set up pretty well here. I feel like, you know, if I'm turning off the nameplates, I think I like what Dignitas has more, though, for sure.
Yeah, it almost feels like Dignitas are running back the Sentinels comp. I was remembering the Ornn Ashe Seraphine. Sentinels played this last week against Shopify Rebellion. They also had Nefiri in the jungle, so Dignitas kind of stealing their homework right now here going into game 2.
Change it up a little bit.
Change up a little, different mid
obvious.
laner. Yeah, not a Victor in the mid lane, it's an Annie in the mid lane, but either way, we've seen that recipe of 4 champions find success last week for Sentinels. Let's see if it works against them this time around. A reminder, Dignitas are out of the playoff scenario. Win or lose does not matter for the rest of their season. They will not be participating in playoffs. Sentinels still have a chance to get top 4 if they win this, and then depending on how FlyQuest series versus LYON goes after this series today, they could actually get top 4, and that's big for a team like Sentinels because we knew they were always right there. They had so much promise. Their series score was not great, but individually in games, it looked like they were close against some of the top teams. That would be big for them to push for top 4.
Yeah, it absolutely would be a really big deal. It is worth noting that Rahel is playing Comet, so it's going to be Poke Varus. Oh. And it does always make you wonder. I mean, Poke Varus, very, very common, but they don't have that much consistent damage here for actually killing off Photon. But while we're talking about that top 4, I mean, if Sentinels wants to prove that they're a top 4 team, you have to look at what the top 3 teams are doing. And what the top 3 teams are doing against Dignitas is losing a game.
They drop 1.
They always drop 1 to Dignitas. So, you know, if Sentinels wants to be like the big dogs,
they got to lose a game.
Might be worth considering hinting a game a little bit here.
Maybe that's the secret sauce to be at the top of the LCS standings.
You got to look for patterns, you know?
Wherever they present themselves.
Yeah, this is another stat from Leo.
Yeah. Speaking of stats from Leo, I actually did hear, I believe that we'll have this one set up. Leo had pulled a stat specifically for us going into this game. So
I see the prompt.
Leo has
a real
specifically
stat.
a real stat for Azael. It's been 8 years since hair, most all-time in LCS.
That's fair.
8 years. Was that the last hairstyle you had?
No, I had hair when I started LCS.
Oh, you did.
But
yes.
this is old.
That's an old photo.
This is an old photo. That's like back in would have been maybe at an MLG interview or something like that.
Okay. Well, it probably looked so bad last time you had an LCS that they didn't want to show that one.
Yeah, that's fair. You know,
I don't show people photos.
It was the
of
tail end. The tail end of the hair.
Before you gave it up.
That was.
I felt that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the old days. You know, the faux hawk.
Don't look at photos of me from 2018 because
fair.
The last year of the hair. All right. Thank you, Leo, for that very real stat.
That was a real
fantastic stat. And I want to say in my headcanon that was the gifted sub for that stat right there. XU going for an invade right now onto Hambach. Bold move against Hambach on his signature champion as Huhi's over the wall. Looks for the flash cosmic binding, not landing it. XU looks like he will get out and has a team to back him up.
Yep, so Hui down a flash there. Tried to go for the big play, did not find it, unfortunately for him. But Hambach is looking for Palafox.
Official's impact, lands on to Palafox, gets the stun into the wall. Flash is available, and he's not even going to use it. First blood to Hambach.
Palafox kind of just accepted his fate. I wonder if he could not have just flashed away from the Ishtal's impact and lived?
Yeah.
That kind of seemed like he gave up a little bit too easily to me.
It's one of those moments where even like when you're casting it, you're like, is it going to be in range? Like, is he close enough to hit it? Because sometimes the Ishtal's impact, if you don't start in a wall, like it doesn't go that far, but I think he got the corner on the wall and was able to obviously get it, so well done.
Yeah, and this is Hambach's all-time on Skarner. 14-3, of course. You know, I said on this split he is 4-0 on the pick, but really looking strong on it. And starting off the game right here once again, getting that kill on a Palafox, but definitely feel like Palafox could have maybe just even flashed back towards the tower and kept himself safe. But at the end of the day, it's a good play there from Hambach and Darkwings, and getting that early punish on Annie can be pretty tough, and they're going to look again.
Yeah, he saved the flash, so he does have it for this time around as he gets pulled back in, has Ignar behind him, and takes a huge chunk of damage.
Yeah, exactly. He does have the refillable, so it has both charges of that, so we'll be able to get some health back.
Oh my god, what are we doing here, guys? This is 3 ganks onto Palafox
just tilt
at
him.
350. Yeah, I mean, legitimately, kind of feels like what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, they're just rinse and repeat. They know, hey, if Annie gets put down and Annie gets too far behind, Annie becomes useless. And if Wei gets too far ahead, Annie is going to get very familiar with the sights and sounds of her own tower because you are going to be getting shoved in nonstop. So, yeah, I think those were not really ganks for kills. Those were just ganks to poke, right? Huhi comes in, procs electrocute, Hambach drives by, you know, throws a rock, tries to get a little bit of damage down. And that's just making it easier for Darkwings because, you know, when I touched on the fact that, hey, this is Poke Varus, well, who's going to be the person who has to do consistent damage to the front line? It is going to be Darkwings.
Yeah, and now he's got XU coming into his lane, but there's a ward to spot it out. More chunk onto Palafox, who is trying to position onto the minions and is now going to have to go for another reset. XU, another invade, but it was spotted, so Hui's going to see him. Cosmic Binding will land this time around as that is Flash out of the Fury, and XU gets to safety, burning the Summoner spell.
Yeah, that was a pretty bold invade because he cleared the ward, so he knew that it was spotted, and Huhi was missing, but Huhi, no flash.
Right there, now XU looks to return the favor here as no flash was available, but Magical Journey just gets him safely over the wall. Heal is used as Hambach, initial impact into the Krugs. Just gonna be patient. I actually like this. He's not just burning them down because he's waiting for his cooldowns to come back. He's got Huhi behind him still. They should assume XU is still in there, as that is Smite from XU to take away the big Krug.
Yep, so we're going to be able to get that. Hambach gets the rest of it, and good job by Huhi, you know, just staying safe without having that flash. FBI getting put pretty low, and that just shows Huhi is thinking about what could be happening when he is roaming down. I know a lot of bards in that situation would just be using the Magical Journey to get back down to bot a little bit faster, and then they're in that bush. You don't have it, you don't have flash, you could die, so held on to the cooldown. Impact having the push here, he is actually smashing Photon right now in this 1v1. I would not expect it to be that one-sided. Already up 550 gold. You've already lost 3 plates. Whoa! That is crazy. Losing 3 plates in under 6 minutes in this matchup. I don't think it's supposed to look like that.
Spiraling Despair lands on a Palafox. Under half health now as Hambach will look to invade onto XU's Raptors this time around. Smite this time to Hambach, so just takes back what XU took from him. Photon in the top lane here as Hambach continues the invade. Level 5 onto XU, just pushes away the Nefiri. And Fury does not have a lot of backup because, again, Palafox was low, top lane's losing, Impact's here to back up Hambach. So actually, I think he's going to have to say goodbye to those Krugs.
Yeah, that is rough. You know, you can go over there. Hui's up there as well. He might not know that. And there's no flash on XU, so it is scary stuff if he comes over and tries to defend that. Palafox has got to be careful. One more Q and you might just be dead.
Yeah, Dark Wings has been lethal with these, and even Hui's coming around. So back channeled as Palafox will actually walk up onto Dark Wings, but backs away still. He's just waiting there. He's got his flash available. I mean, he could look for this. Just going to stop the back, be annoying. Magical Journeys to help out Dark Wings as, Palafox playing with fire here. He's just trying to get anything in this wave, and he's going to miss almost all of it. Now Rahel underneath the turret, dodges the arrow, lands his own onto Ignar. Chain of Corruption almost locks Ignar in place for long enough.
Yeah.
It'll just be a heal.
Yeah, and if Rahel actually 1v2 killed them in that position, that is where you want to leave the game, right? That is actually one of those situations where you were playing as Palafox, and you're like, the Bard has not left my lane. Like, the support is laning mid the entire game, and then if your bot lane dies 1v2, you're like, bot lane, do something! Punish this guy, this is illegal!
How are they allowed to do this?
And Rahel stays completely safe. I mean, he is down 14 CS, but you know, they're not able to kill him, so Rahel doing a really good job without his support there in the 1v2, and is able to stay alive, keeps his flash, trades the heal for the cleanse, and is down CS, but not that much. So honestly, the roam's well worth it, and it's already a 1.7k gold lead again.
And Rahel didn't even have to flash, so I think he's still fine in the 1v2 for a little longer. He could still roam around the map. I do like Bards to get level 6, you know, fast enough that you can actually use that onto the low mobility Annie in the mid lane. So he spent a lot of time away from lane. That's going to put him slightly behind in XP over Ignar.
You know?
The memes help out, but like if you look at the XP, he is still...
Of course, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You don't need
Look, I'm a Bard player. I get really excited about talking about Bard roam time.
Like, actually, you do need minion experience.
You do?
Oh, really?
Well, you also can do this, apparently. Just solo XU in the jungle. XU will get the blue buff. Hits level 6 as Hambach's level 7. FBI's just chunking him down right now. Big damage onto the Skarner. Magical Journey will get him out of there as Palafox looks for the stun. Doesn't land it with the W. Would have needed the tippers there, and not in range, so Dignitas don't find a punish as the Crushing Maw will land. Now Darkwings just walks away.
Yeah, and Palafox, very defensive build, understandably, given the situation that he is in, but there is no damage behind this Annie.
Flash tippers, stun. Now they're diving underneath the turret. XU looking for it and gets it. Even survives the spiraling despair. Dignitas get out.
Yeah, nice engage there. Palafox goes in, and it's double flash here from Dig, but they do get the kill. Got pretty close. Darkwings almost was able to turn around there onto XU, but Hambach going to be looking. He doesn't have the damage to do anything here.
Nice. Yeah, maybe if you get in Impale range, but Palafox is able to stun and just walk away, so that's something. Signs of life for Dignitas. XU now on the board with a kill. Top lane looks like a 1v1 as Impact pops the Dominus. Photon should get back to his turret, no problem, and he's going to be able to catch this wave just fine.
Yep. And the Protoplasm Harness going to get finished there. That's the Master Card Power Spike. As Hambach with that support item is going to have that done really quickly. And Photon's starting to build an HP lead up on that top side because Dominus is down and Chains of Corruption is going to miss.
Ooh, call the Forge God from Photon. He's looking to take his own 1v1 here as Impact no longer has the Dominus, but Photon not in range to flash follow.
And even with that big gold lead, Impact, you know, almost getting solo kill there. If he doesn't flash, he is dead, and that's what I was going to touch on is, you know, he had to use the Dominus just for health, and then he's starting to fall behind in health, and Call of Forge God was still there, but Photon is now, so this is a little bit sketchy for Impact, but Hambach is around. They want to try to pull off the dive. Hambach's going to be the one that has to tank it up.
Yeah, if Impact starts the turret aggro, that's bad news. So watch for Hambach initially. Impact will just provide some damage afterwards. Ishel's Impact. Photon flashes, and the arrow comes in to back him up. It lands onto Impact. Bellows Breath. Bonk auto. Photon finding the play with the help of his AD carry.
Yeah, they just did not have enough damage to actually kill off Photon. He has a lot of armor at this point, and Impact losing that gold lead quite a bit now. Was up a good 500-600 gold. Now it is cut down about in half thanks to a great arrow there from FBI, allowing Photon to be able to pick up the kill after he had flashed away. Photon, of course, did force the Dominus as well as the flash himself in the 1v1, so deserving of a lot of credit for that himself. But, you know, keeping things close up in that top side, and that 1.7k gold lead is now just 700.
And now Dignitas look for another play into the bottom lane here. Rahel, the target, flashes over the Encore and is fine. No arrow to set that one up this time around, but that is both summoners used from Rahel, actually, as well as heal from Huhi.
Yeah, he cleansed there too, so maybe was kind of anticipating that he was going to get hit, or maybe he was just cleansing a slow, but that is the cleanse as well as the flash, as well as the heal, as you're calling out, all used there, and that was no summoners expended from the Dignitas bot lane, so Sentinels still out to a decent early game lead, looking for Palafox.
As now Hambach in the mid lane, doesn't have the damage behind him, but will throw out the Impale. He's stunned up, but just trying to keep Palafox in place for Dark Wings to arrive. Palafox trying to sidestep, cannot do so. Hambach with the kill credit. Sentinels make a play mid.
Really nicely done there by Hambach. You know, it looked like your teammates are too far away, aren't they? But he delayed him for so long.
A lot of CC.
And knowing that Palafox and XU both spent their flashes to kill off Darkwings in that earlier play, he knew he was not going to have that flash up. So really good buffer on the Impale as well. You know, as the Tibbers came down, he got stunned, but the Impale was already casting. So he was able to actually land the Impale while stunned, because that goes through the CC and then just pulls it back. That buys time for Huhi and Darkwings to arrive, and it's another good play by Hambach's Garner.
And afterwards, you go straight to the Dragon. That's the first one picked up here. There was one grub taken by XU in the top lane, but Impact was wise to walk in and bully him off of that. So Sentinels also getting a neutral objective after the kill, and they still have about a 2,000 gold lead for themselves overall, with a lot of that being on mid and jungle.
So the question is, can these points of power for Dignitas, you know, get something done? Cyclo Sword done here now for Nefiri, so you are going to be pretty strong up on that that jungle position here for Dignitas, but Impact.
Photon fancies himself. 1v1, not quite able to land the second use of Call of the Forge God. Impact's able to slice and dice away.
That's not where he called him. Showed up somewhere else.
Yeah, that was a page of the Forge God right there. Gotta guess where you are. Photon jumps away. Impact does pop the Dominus, but Photon gets out of there. So I guess both of them using ultimate. Neither one getting a kill. It's an even trade.
Yep. And Photon as well as Impact both just going to be going back to base. FBI here with a nearly 700 gold lead, doing well for himself. Should have his first item completion. Looking like he's probably just going towards Kraken. And we'll see what he can get done. You know, is going to be in a pretty good spot here. Ignar, you're expecting to have his first item completed very soon as well. It's going to be a while for Palafox, you know, still quite a bit down. But this is definitely a winnable game for Dig if they can get some good picks, you know. Photon is going to be a problem eventually. Like, this guy is going to get really, really tanky, and there's not great front-to-back team fighting from Sentinels. It's more about their picks, and I feel like there's good counter-engage, there's good disengage from Dignitas, and I feel like their front-to-back is better.
And we already highlighted the fact that with this poke Varus, you're not going to be providing that much more damage, so you got to get damage onto FBI, onto XU, and onto Ignar. Hambach not fully engaged on. The arrow goes out, but Dignitas not going to follow up. It's a very tanky Skarner if you're going to try and all in onto him.
It was a really good sidestep. He just barely is able to sidestep that arrow, so it kind of just wiggles to the side, dodges the arrow, and denies that follow-up that you are talking about. And we are just looking towards this next dragon here. The first dragon was pretty late. Remember, last game we had Soul at 23 minutes. And it's 15 in, we only have one.
Byron this player lands on a Photon. Rahel now the focus in the mid lane, though. 2 plays as Dignitas get mid, Sentinels get bottom lane. It's going to be an 80 carry for top lane trade, but Dignitas might find more. Impact also in the mid lane, pops the Dominus, but with 3 members of Dig on top of him, he's in trouble. Teleport coming in to back him up. Huhi on the flank. Impact is still alive, and Darkwings turns the play for a kill. Impact just holds the line for so long. They're even going to get Ignar. Hambach with a kill credit there on a rampage. Sentinels make the play bot and back up the play mid.
That was huge from Impact, just getting in the middle of everyone. Got such a massive heal from the Cult of Meek there on 3 members of Dig. He was just shredding them with the Dominus with all his AoE damage. Bought enough time for the rest of the Sentinels members to arrive. And this took what was looking like, hey, Dignitas are actually getting into a better and better spot and really flipped it back the way of Sentinels. So here's the dive. he was able to survive the 1v2, could not survive the 1v3 with everyone piling in, but then Impact had TP, he arrives, he has the big TP shield, he has dominance, he says, all right, let's just fight. Bard is coming, Skarner is coming, Hui is coming, I just need to buy time. He gets low, but then the flash in forces the cleanse, and look at that Call to Beat. 633 on the heel.
Massive.
Is able to knock down FBI. Hanbok and Huhi arrive, and that is great stuff from Impact on the Renekton. Those are the kind of plays that keep pros picking Renekton for 10 years.
Yep. You're not a tank technically, but you survive for quite a while. We're going to look at the replay of the dive bot lane. Nice Bard use of Tempered Fate onto the turret.
Yeah,
I go. Shit, sorry, I think if I hit him, maybe he'll die.
All right, we got to hear Dignitas. At least they're still laughing. This is the last match of the Spring Split for them, regardless of win or loss. So at least nice to see that that was a moment of brevity.
Yeah, you got to try to keep it as positive as you can in these situations. You know, they're still in the game. FBI is still up 700 gold, but he is going to have a target painted on his back as this strong player here. And Hanbok gets a couple more kills. He now has 2 fully completed items, way ahead of the curve. And you can see Darkwing's working in towards his second item. The Protobelt is done there for Palafox, so you will have the ability to, to try to find some sort of engage, to try to find that setup, and that's really what they're going to be depending upon Palafox for. You rocket belt in, you try to get a big combo, CC a bunch of people up, and then just utilize the Call the Forge God, the Encore, all of that to try to CC these members and get a quick kill. Because if you can do that, then the gold lead does not mean nearly as much.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of pressure on Dig yet either. Like, they have really good scaling on their team, and there's only one dragon that's been taken, and we're 18 minutes in.
Ooh, Sentinels actually making the play here into the bot lane. Photon has to flash away as he was the focus. That's Tempered Fate used, but nice buffer as the Herald dropped, and there was an outer turret. It was dropped between bottom outer and tier 2, and I didn't even realize there's still a turret there. Now Photon will throw Call of the Forge God, feared away though. Not able to land it there. Actually, it was the Herald that got him up there. Stun now into XU at his own Wolf Camp. Sentinels, yeah, they just can't do any wrong. I mean, they're getting engaged on bot side, then they turn it back and get a pick in the jungle.
Yeah, really nicely timed fear there coming out from Darkwings, denying the redirect of that Call of the Forge God from Photon.
Palafox now looking for that engagement. Rahel instant cleanse and gets out of there. Actually, Mikhail's instant from Huhi.
Even more impressive that that is not his own cleanse. That is the perfectly timed Mikhail's from Huhi. And Rahel doesn't even flash. He just sidesteps the Encore, goes through the magical journey, gets out of there, and it makes it look easy as well, getting multiple big cooldowns out from Dig, the Encore, the Tibbers, the Flash off of Palafox. So really well played there by Huhi and Rahel. 4.5K is the gold lead now as they do finally take that second dragon. So it will be a later soul, but they are making their way there. And still looking to be in a very good spot.
Hard commit onto Palafox. That's Magical Journey from Huhi. They're teleporting up Impact. Palafox trying to get back to his tier 2 turret, but the Cosmic Binding lands and the chain CC continues. Palafox tries a Rocket Belt away, and Impact with one slice, one dice will take him down.
Yeah, going to be able to get that kill, and Hanbok was playing guard duty here, just kind of standing in between the rest of the Dignitas members.
Now FBI in the mid lane. There's the cleanse from Rahel, but the Tempered Fate lands onto 3. Sentinels defending as the Impale onto the carries. FBI's down. Ignar trying to escape. XU jumping away from the team as Huhi flash stuns him in the wall. Dignitas can't go anywhere. Sentinels are ready for them everywhere they go.
All right, Huhi is actually playing crazy this game. The Tempered Fate there to deny the Flash Hound's Pursuit coming in from XU, immuning a lot of that damage that was thrown over onto Rahel after he had to cleanse out from the Crystal Arrow. That was beautifully done. So Huhi has been everywhere this game, roaming nonstop. He makes a big play there with that, makes a big play earlier with the Mikhails. He is just on fire, it feels like, in this one, and they're on that 20-minute Baron, and this time feels like Dignitas will not be able to respond to it at all, unlike last game.
GoldenEye Bard rocking the 008 score line right now. Baron picked up for Sentinels. 7.4K gold lead. Dignitas were in this game for a while, to their credit. It feels like we've passed that time. Zale, from this point forward, it's looking all Sentinels.
Yeah, I mean, it was feeling like it was going to be a bit more of a competitive game before that Impact play, and now there's been a few more plays in a row that have really gone their way. And these are the playoff stakes. if Sentinels win, they will lock top 4 if FlyQuest loses to LYON.
Yes.
Right? So I think a lot of people would predict that FlyQuest would lose to LYON. Based on scrims, though, a lot of these players will tell you that FlyQuest is in the mix with the other top couple teams.
It wouldn't be a massive upset, but it still would be an upset if FlyQuest is able to topple them.
Based on stage games, I think so for sure. Inspired, he was saying, though, that he felt like FlyQuest is the most annoying team to play against because they play so aggressive. So you never know what's going to happen in that one. And, of course, that is a very important game for FlyQuest, who's trying to get top 4 as well. But Sentinels going to be depending upon LYON here to get their series win.
But they're putting themselves in a good spot for it because step 1 was win this series. And they are doing that with flying colors right now, Azale. Game 1 was a Giga Stomp. Game 2, big surge to life now. It's called the Forge God from Dignitas. Photon lands this time only on the Hambach. That's the tank. That's the front line. Not the one that you want to be hitting there. As the battle lines are drawn, we're just poking the Skarner, poking the Ornn. Impact now goes in, gets the stun, and baits out the Tibbers while dashing away. So Dignitas no longer have the big bear as Hambach gets in, pulls back the carry yet again. FBI goes down, and Hambach goes godlike. Sentinels hitting the middle inhibitor turret as they have a 5v4 push with the Baron buff. Dignitas have to regroup under their Nexus.
Yeah, Dignitas is just pulling back to try to heal up. I don't think Sentinels can end it right now, but they are going to be able to get this mid lane inhibitor. You can see pings onto the bot lane tier 2 as well. The gold lead now nearly 10,000.
Yep.
Sentinels just crushing it here once again against Dignitas, and looking like they are in good form as they are going to be heading into playoffs. Whether or not they do get top 4, they will be a part of playoffs. So they are looking like they are ready to go.
And everyone needs to be ready for a Hambach Skarner. This is about to be 5-0,
this thing, man.
7-0-1 on this champion in this game. Like, this guy, this is his bread and butter at this point.
Yeah, I really think it is one of these champions that he is deserving of the respect. You got to ban it.
Oh, actually, right now, Sentinel is trying to get into Dignitas' jungle. Darkwing's hit with the Tempered Fate from Huhi, and now he's going to get knocked up. No, he flashes a wall. Able to get away from Dignitas' re-engage as Rahel throws out the Chain of Corruption onto Photon. Again, the front line. Dignitas fighting for control of their own jungle as Sentinels making them work for it. XU push away from the rest of the team on the top, while Dignitas grouping around their Ornn on the bottom lane. No one's going to go down yet, but Hambach's walking in. Now Call the Forge God used. Only lands again onto Hambach. But look at XU. Gets on the Darkwings on the flank. They lost track of the Nefiri, but Darkwings does get away through the magical journey. XU survives as well. Nobody dead yet as Rahel flashes and cleanses to get back to the rest of his team.
I mean, you could see how Dignitas can win this game, right? Like, their compositionally, this is why I favor their comp. Chains of Corruptions hits onto the Ornn, and you don't even see his health move when the piercing arrow comes through. Actually trying to steal away this camp, heal up a little bit. But as long as you're putting some pressure on the Darkwings, Photon is very hard for this team to kill.
Photon CPing back in. Darkwings does not have TP, so Sentinels will not have their mid laner here for the Dragon contest. Ishtal Impact is delayed here. Hambach is trying to get onto XU, but Photon locked him in place. Hambach's gonna go down. Dignitas just killed Sentinels jungler in the Dragon Pit as Impact got the TP flank. Tempered Fate lands onto one member. That's the Annie. Flash away from Palafox, gets back to safety of Dignitas. It's a 5v4 for Dig. No jungler on the enemy team. Can they hold the line? Flash from Hui lands a double stun. Follow-up damage from Darkwings as XU looks to get onto the Hui, but massive damage comes back. Dignitas limp away with slivers of health bars. Sentinels winning the 4v5 push off Dig, and they're going to continue the chase. Magical Journey from Huhi. XU slowed down from the Bard autos. Rahel can't quite get in range for the damage. But I think message is sent. Sentinels will not back down, even in a 4v5.
Yeah, that was really nicely done. They knew that they were missing so many of their big cooldowns. No Encore, no Call of the Forge God at that time. So they just went in for it.
We try.
We try. That's really all that you can want from them at this point in time. Down 8,500 gold. They get 1 kill onto Hambach. You feel it. The pressure, they want to make more happen. Let's take another look at how they at least got the 1.
Yeah, so this is kind of that back to that earlier play as XU, was trying to heal up off these camps to maybe steal away this dragon, but Huhi spots him, and they say, you know what, we can actually just take this fight. But Hambach is pinned in the pit. Ishtal's impact gets interrupted. He has no flash. They focus him down, but then it's all about Impact here, pulling back, and again, Huhi sitting up with the Tempered Fate, and then this next binding from Huhi was so beautiful. He realized, you know what, they're low on health, they're low on cooldowns, I'm going to force this. So Magical Journey's in, flashes forward, binds up to, creating a lot of space there, and then as XU looks for the re-engage, Darkwings instantly fears him, starts to land so much AoE.
Back to live, though. Sentinels are continuing the push in the mid lane here. No more Baron-empowered minions, but they still have the super minions from taking down that inhibitor earlier. Dignitas have 5 to defend, while Impact is in top lane. Gonna have to start doing some work onto this tier 2 in the top lane with 1 plate remaining.
I mean, the gold differences just look so funny. FBI is actually still up gold, about 500. And then the next smallest deficit for his team is 1.2k, and that's support. The entire top side of the map is so far behind. Like, that is crazy.
Ooh, all right. Whoa, what is this? Chances are low. LCS record with gold diff at 20 of
7,311.
That is an insane stat.
That is a crazy stat.
So if you have a negative 7.7k gold differential at 20 minutes, you've only won 5 out of 316
You know what, Leo? With this stat, you moved into my top 9 stats guys, currently employed by the LCS.
Shout out to LCS stats guy Leo for making Azael's top 9. That is a big move. He's moving up the rankings right there. Called the Court God from Photon, lands onto Rahel, but nobody's in range to follow up, so Dignitas used their big engage tool. Now it's Sentinel's turn. They peel off from the Baron, head back towards the mid lane. Dignitas are pretty much out of their engage range, though, as now we're just jockeying for mid lane control. The arrow goes wide. Sentinels didn't even have to sidestep that one. So Dignitas don't have the arrow, don't have the Forge God. It really comes down to Palafox on the Annie to make anything happen here. They got to walk into a completely blind jungle. No wards for Dignitas down, as they at least will get some down in the line brush.
They do have 4 ornaments, so, you know, hey, that's something.
True.
If they could actually keep this game delay, they do outscale. I really believe that. And I mean, FBI is relevant, but of course they are massively behind. One bad fight, the game will just end. So you don't get, you know, extra chances here, but we'll see if they can make something happen.
Maybe 5 out of 316. But they're saying there's a chance. Okay, Azael?
They could be number 6.
It could be number 6. XU heavily chunked as Impact was waiting in the brush by the Baron. XU at about 200 health can just not approach the Baron to contest now. Photon's trying to buy space for the rest of the team, but now he's the focus as he's half health himself. Darkwings is pumping damage onto this Ornn. He is not invincible. Call the Forge God will be pulled. Knock up onto the mid laner, and they got him. Darkwings just gets eviscerated by Photon. XU's trying to get into the pit, not in time, will die for the attempt. Baron secured, as now Photon yet again moving forward without the team behind him. They're getting blocked by Impact, but now the arrow goes out on a Hambach. He gets the Impale in time, pulls back Photon to Palafox, but there's no damage behind him. Dignitas forced the flash out of Hambach. Retreat from Sentinels. They got the Baron, but Dignitas might take down Huhi. That's a shutdown for FBI. Hambach with the Ishil's Impact does get over the next wall. Impact teleported in. He's in a 1v4 right now. Full health bar plus teleport shield. Dignitas pretty low. Hambach stuck around. He's looking for Ignar, blocking off the Seraphine. But Seraphine gets to the team. Rahel now rejoins. The arrows are landing. FBI, he's gonna die. Impact slays the carry as Rahel goes on a killing spree as well. Dignitas tried their best, but Sentinels will get the Baron, and in the prolonged team fight, take down 4 members of Dignitas.
It was a valiant effort. You know what? You're down 10k, you're down 3 dragons. And had XU stolen that Baron, had he gotten there a little bit earlier, maybe been able to get a bit more done in that fight, because as he re-engaged with the Hound's Pursuit, he just insta-died. He didn't even get his W off, you know, wasn't able to really be a part of that. But Dig, you know, showing the strength of their comp, almost are able to take down so many members, but a lot of those blinking health bars from Sentinels made the difference. They get out, they're able to come back, re-engage, and eventually knock down a lot of those members. And now looking for this bot lane inhib. Palafox and FBI are back now. Still 20 until Photon is up. And it's going to be all about the soul. Can you prevent that and try to keep prolonging this game?
Sentinels with the Baron push have 2 cannons hitting this bottom lane, as they'll take the middle inhibitor as well. Supers will start spawning in the next wave rotation here. Sentinels still have cannons for 2 more waves. How much can they get done with these? One inhibitor, or one Nexus turret rather, looks like it's about to go down, and there it is. So 1 Nexus turret remains. Dignitas still have 5. Call the Forge Gods available, Tibbers available, Arrow available. They have the tools They just got to find the right target.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to be able to find that target. It is difficult. Cleanse, Mikhail's, lots of tools available.
Coming in. Flash from Rahel to avoid the Tibbers as Root lands on the Palafox. XU's able to get onto Rahel. The Varus is in trouble. The Varus is down. Shut down from XU as Impact's in a 1v3 takes out an FBI. The carries both fall, but Impact gets a little more with the double kill. Support goes down. 2 for 2 right now, but Darkwings was untouched. Huhi gets the kill on the Palafox. Sentinels with the mid laner leading the charge. Have more than enough damage to close out this game. Massive wave with supers. The second Nexus turret falls. Dignitas with XU and Photon trying desperately to take this fight, but XU stunned up by Huhi, pushed by Hambach. That's the jungler out of there. That's Dignitas' split done. Sentinels with a 2-0 will continue into playoffs.